Today I'm going to show you how to use vinyl and the masking technique to make this fun baseball door hanger. And it's really easy to personalize too. So let me show you how to make it. To start out, we're going to take our wood round and a hammer and distress the wood. So take your hammer and make divots all around the wood round. Use the top of the hammer and the back of the hammer and make as many divots as you'd like. Then we're going to go in with our X-Acto knife and make little gouges around the edges of the wood round. So be very careful, always have the blade going away from you and create little indents all the way around the edges of the wood round. Next we're going to grab the sanding block and smooth off any of those little pieces of wood. Now we're going to grab our black chalk paint and a foam brush and paint the entire surface and the edges, making sure to get inside all of those little grooves. Once the paint is dry, we are going to take our template that we're using to draw the lines of the stitching, and we're going to draw it onto our wood round. And then we are going to take our vinyl, cut it apart into 3 different sections as you can see, and we are going to line them up, make sure they are centered, and then make marks on the edges so we know where to place them later. Then we're going to grab our red acrylic paint and paint where we are going to put the word home. If you want it to be a bright red, do a couple of layers. Otherwise, if you want it to be a deeper, more maroony red, just do one thin layer. Once you've got that painted, you are going to take your vinyl and apply it to the board. Next, we're going to take the vinyl that says home and we are replacing the O with a baseball home plate. So take your template, cut out the home plate, and get it ready. We're going to apply our vinyl, leaving out the O, and applying it right over the red paint. Once you've got the vinyl applied, you are going to take masking tape and the home plate template. You're going to trace the home plate template where you want it in the word home, and then use masking tape to cover up that shape. When you get towards the end where everything is covered up, you can lay the template over the top and use your X-Acto knife to get it nice and neat. Then you're ready to paint over the entire surface with your white chalk paint. When you're painting, try not to fill up too many of the black little divots, as this will create a nice distressed look, but make sure to get a nice white coat on the top and around the edges. Once your paint is all dry, you can go back in with your X-Acto knife and peel up all the vinyl letters. If they didn't turn out as perfect as you want them, you can go in with your X-Acto knife and scrape off any of the excess paint, or you can go in with your paint and correct the letters. Now we're going to grab our sanding block and do a little bit more distressing. So we're going to sand all the way around the edges of the wood round, sanding off the white paint until we get to the black paint. Then we'll go in with our sanding block and sand off some of the white until we get down to a little bit of the black underneath to create more of a distressed look. You can go ahead and use your hammer as well at this point and create more distressed marks. You can also dry brush some black paint on there, and if it's a little bit too black, you can always sand it off a little bit. Then I went over with a paper towel, wiped away the excess. I did get my paper towel a tiny bit damp and went over the black and red words. Don't use too much moisture or you will smear the paint. Now it's time to draw on the stitching. So take your template and create those semicircles again on the top and the bottom of your board. Grab your red paint and paint over that line you just drew. If you did a thin coat of paint before, your paint might look a little bit too red, so you can add a little bit of black paint to deepen the color and paint over the lines again. To create the stitching, you're going to take a new foam brush, cut the tip off so it is a flat rectangle, and then dab it in the paint and start making the stitching marks. So you're going to create little V's all the way along the semicircle that you drew on. Once you finish with one side, you'll flip it over to the other side and draw these little V's in the opposite direction of the one you just created. Then if you want to do some personalizing, you can take some stickers and add your name to the baseball. The last thing we're going to do is add the jute hanger to our baseball. So grab your jute, tie a knot on one end, measure out how much jute you're going to use, tie a knot at the other end, flip your baseball over, and then I taped everything in place to see what it would look like, flipped it over to the front to make sure I liked the length, and then once I flipped it back over to the back side, I stapled everything down. And then you're ready to hang your baseball. You can find all the supplies that are used in this project and all the templates at craftsdirect.com and go over to the Projects tab.